What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host, Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're talking about Cardano and governance. To be specific, we've just had the conclusion of the first ever vote for the ICC, or the Interim Constitutional Convention. As a part of today's video, I want to highlight the winners, or the people that have been inducted to take the 3 seats that were open for the community in order to join the ICC. In addition to IOG, Emergo, the Cardano Foundation, and Intersect. Now, I also want to talk about the Intersect Constitutional Council, which will be open to be made up of 10 community members representing the 1 seat that the Intersect MBO currently holds for the Interim Constitutional Convention. As always, if you guys enjoy updates like these, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up on the way in. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, consider subscribing to Dapp Central. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me as it pertains to governance or just Cardano in general, then make sure to leave a comment down below. Now, I had a couple of videos breaking down the constitutional roadmap. Of course, again, we're waiting for the Chain hard fork. Now, we do have a tentative community-driven date, which is set for, if I'm not mistaken, July 17th. So do be on the lookout for this particular date, as that's when we're expecting the Cardano node version, which is version 9.0, which introduces governance as well as a slew of other benefits to Cardano to go out into the main community's hands. Following that, we're going to have the official Chain upgrade, right, which will take place, which will basically turn on all of the additional features that we need ahead of the official Cardano Constitution being signed, taking place in Buenos Aires in Argentina. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the ICC and the Interim Constitutional Convention. If you guys were not aware, there was a vote that basically took place. I believe voting started around June 23rd-ish, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But to sum this up, there's 7 seats in total for the Constitutional Committee. 4 of those will be going to entities, which I've mentioned before: IOG, Emergo, Cardano Foundation, Intersect. And then 3 seats were open to the general public. Again, check out my prior videos if you guys want to basically better understand the ICC, their role, and where they play a part within the full governance structure. Now, let's talk about the actual members that were able to be included. So this is, again, just a brief breakdown of the historical timeline from beginning nominations all the way till when the vote actually concluded. If we take a look here, we do have the fact that the Cardano Foundation actually participated as well when it comes to the ICC interim vote. So we see here the fact that they did pick, let's see here, 3 different consortiums and then 3 individuals. So keep in mind that the consortiums are basically made up of multiple members, but they're all taking collectively 1 single seat, versus individual members, which again, it's only 1 person taking 1 single seat. So what's interesting here is that the foundation voted with 20 million ADA, and out of the total amount of ADA that voted for the entire ICC community vote, we had about 450 million ADA. Now, these numbers are still relatively low, and maybe I'll just take a minute to talk a little bit more about that here, but we need more participation in these types of events. Very similar to Project Catalyst, where we basically have maybe 2 or 3% of the total circulating ADA actually being used to vote for things like this. We need everybody to weigh in for governance to actually work. Otherwise, you're always going to get people that complain about the fact that votes didn't turn out like they thought that they should, etc. Right? So this is probably my biggest sticking point here about all of this when it comes to governance, is that we're just not seeing the participation that we really should be seeing when it comes to this particular side of the ecosystem. Now, I would love to hear if you have any suggestions or maybe just opinions or thoughts about how we can improve participation. But I know, for example, with something like Catalyst, you do have an incentivized, or you do have some sort of incentive to participate, right? So as a voter in Catalyst, you do receive ADA after the voting round has completed, regardless of whether or not what you voted for is funded. Similarly, I think that we definitely need to set aside some sort of budget when it comes to voting for governance, just to make sure that people participate. And over time, that can be, removed. But I definitely think that early on, especially as we're going to have a lot of critical votes taking place as people are sort of excited about governance launching, we're going to want to make sure to get as much participation in as possible. So hopefully content like this helps you to stay aware and helps you to participate. But I want to quickly touch on that there. It is something that I've continuously seen in the ecosystem. It's just a lack of participation in some of the nuanced votes that do take place. Now, to be fully fair here and to play devil's advocate, we do also have very short turnaround periods. So it'd be great to maybe get more of a lead or more of a runway when it comes to votes just like these from the CF, from Intersect, etc., just to market, what the options are and to explain the process well ahead of time. That way people can prepare and actually vote. Now, enough of me ranting, jumping back in here. We have the Cardano Foundation voting with their 20 million, voting for 6 different positions. Now, you voted for more than just the initial 3, even though only 3 were selected in the event that there was some sort of tie, or in the event that the majority of the community voted to onboard the same exact people, right? So the first person or the first group that they voted for was the Cardano Atlantic Council, followed by the Eastern Cardano Council, both of them consortiums or groups of people, followed by a vote for Lloyd Douillon, as well as John Kelly, the Cardano Japan Council, and then Joshua Stone, one of the founders of Book.io. Now, that said, let's actually take a look at the full results that were just released not too long ago. Shout out to Mauro, one of the candidates who actually posted this following the official announcement. So we have the Cardano Atlantic Council, which is one of the votes that the CF had put in, which basically won with the majority of the votes, coming in with 51% of the votes, or about 232 million ADA being voted for them. Right in that second or third column, however you want to count it, we've got the members and their location. As you guys can see here, we've got a total of 6 different members for the Cardano Atlantic Council. Right below that, we've got Cardano Japan, again, another candidate voted by the CF. They've got 4 members coming in with 18% of the votes, followed by the Eastern Cardano Council with an additional 6 members, and they gained 10% of the votes. What's crazy is how close Mauro, right, who was an individual, was to actually being voted in. As you can see here, a mere 2 million ADA making the difference. So this is exactly why it's so important to get in there, make sure your voice is heard. And again, around the topic of different entities voting, their 20 million here from the CF definitely swayed this vote, right? So imagine not having 20 million ADA voted for the Eastern Cardano Council. That would have actually allowed for Mauro to be included as a part of the ICC. So again, I think we need to talk a little bit more about what type of ADA is eligible to be used for these voting circumstances. Even just looking outside of the entities, imagine DEXs, DeFi protocols that have TVL or ADA locked into the protocol also being eligible to actually vote for some of these different community-based events, right? That sways a lot of the votes and that adds a lot of power from said entity. So again, I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Coming in number 5, we've got Scientific Analytical Tools LLC, followed by Josh Stone again from the Book.io team. Congrats to everybody that made it in. And of course, keep in mind that this is just the interim constitutional committee. Once we have the official Cardano constitution laid out this coming December, there will be another opportunity to add and remove members to the constitutional committee. Now, keep in mind, again, this is run by terms. So after X amount of time, there will be new members that come into the CC, as well as existing members that either have to fight to remain on the CC, or they basically get beat out by new members joining and then basically coming to an expiration of their terms. Now, that said, I want to close out today's brief update by highlighting the Intersect Constitutional Council. So a lot going on here with governance, but I mentioned earlier 7 total seats within the ICC. One of those seats is for the Intersect MBO, and they're going to be taking a council for their seat. So very similar to a consortium, there's going to be 10 members that basically make up the 1 seat for the Intersect MBO. So if you want to apply, again, the actual applications end today or on July 1st. And this goes back to that point that I made earlier. It would be really great if the Intersect MBO would have basically marketed this out a little bit earlier to give people adequate time to understand what it takes to join the council, and then more time to actually apply to join the council. Now, that said, there is a fully dedicated article here. I want to just briefly read 2 excerpts as we get ready to close out today's video, where it reads, as a part of our commitment to administer and champion Cardano's community-led governance efforts, Intersect seat for the Interim Constitutional Committee will comprise of 10 Intersect members with majority votes determining Intersect's vote on the constitutionality of governance actions. This body will be known as the Intersect Constitutional Council, and they'll be guided in its operations by a charter, which is currently a proposed or which is currently in a draft state. In closing, the council's first task will be to refine and finalize the draft charter before all members are expected to sign in thereafter act in accordance with its principles. So they're basically going to be laying out their own foundations and their own sort of goals and perspectives for the Intersect Constitutional Council, which also then has to be abided by all 10 members, as they're also making sure to abide by the Cardano Constitution. So hopefully that makes sense. Not too much confusion there going on. But in closing, what happens next is that once the application period basically closes down, which is again on July 1st, a group of members and Intersect staff will evaluate applications according to a publicly shared set of criteria before confirming the council composition this coming July 5th. Now, after that, council members will have the opportunity to attend the interim CC training in person in Colorado in mid-July. What's crazy about this is Charles Hoskinson just spoke about this. He's basically putting, I think, $2 million of his own finances into governance when it comes to Cardano to basically fly out all of the members that will be joining the ICC, right, over into Colorado for dedicated workshops as to how to best fit and actually do their job when it comes to verifying the constitutionality of Cardano governance actions. So it's really good to see that whoever joins the council for Intersect, as well as the 3 other consortiums that have already been elected to join the 3 community seats, that they'll all be flying to Colorado to get explicit information or explicit courses, right, or workshops or whatever you want to call them, to best understand how to fit their role when it comes to governance. That said, I believe that'll do it here for today's brief update, talking and highlighting the recent conclusion of the 3 seats being voted for the ICC. Again, congrats to all 3 consortiums. Congrats to everybody who took the time to apply, campaign, and share their thoughts as to how they can better benefit the Cardano ecosystem. And of course, again, make sure to go ahead and apply for the Intersect Council if you're interested in joining the ICC as a part of Intersect's single seat. As always, if you guys found today's video to be helpful or insightful, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. It's one of the best ways and the easiest ways to support me here on the channel. If you guys want more content just like this, breaking down governance in Cardano, consider subscribing to Dapp Central. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me as it pertains to any of the topics that we discussed today, then make sure to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.